Aloha, my friend. This is Dr. Naina Shah, your integrative doctor. We have just solved the mystery of estrogen levels in the blood. However, there is another twist to the estrogen story. I told you, estrogen is not a straightforward hormone. Did you know that estrogen receptors can be influenced in a way that amplifies the effect of estrogen? Even when your blood estrogen levels are normal. Intrigued? Buckle up because we are diving into some fascinating and complex topic today. Estrogen receptors and xenoestrogens. In this chapter, at the receptor level, we will learn interesting interaction between histamine and estrogen and how they affect our health and cause symptoms. Then we will talk about the unique character of estrogen receptors in that they are not very specific to estrogen molecule. That is where xenoestrogens come into play. Xenoestrogens are chemicals or molecules. They are different to estrogen, but they act like estrogen. So we are going to talk about chemical harmful synthetic xenoestrogens, the sources of xenoestrogens and their exposure in our daily lives, and what harmful effects they cause on our health. And finally, we are going to talk about plant based natural xenoestrogen or phytoestrogen and how they can be helpful. All right, let's dive right in. Many of you might have heard about histamines. High histamine levels causes hay fever, asthma, eczema. You might have heard about antihistamines, high histamine foods, low histamine diet, etc. Did you know histamine can stimulate estrogen receptors and vice versa? It's like they are best buddies causing trouble together. Imagine histamine as a little troublemaker knocking on estrogen's door and saying, "Hey, let's make some noise." What this means is if you have high histamine levels in your body because you have some allergies or you have been consuming high histamine foods, it can make your estrogen receptors more sensitive. So, even though your estrogen levels are normal, it feels like your body has too much estrogen. Conversely, high estrogen makes your histamine receptors more sensitive. I see this all the time in women going through perimenopause. They present with rashes and hives first time in their lives from these sensitive histamine receptors because during perimenopause they are producing lot more estrogen which is stimulating histamine receptors. So if you are sneezing, sniffling or breaking out in a rash, there might be more to it than just pollen or dust mites. So why might histamine levels be high? It could be from high consumption. For example, if you have been having alcohol, which is high histamine drink, or very high histamine foods like fermented foods, or long stored leftovers. You could be producing high levels of histamine because you have allergies or inappropriate mast cell activation, or you are going through stress, or the histamine that you are producing is normal and you're eating normal histamine, but your body is unable to remove histamine properly. Inadequate detoxification. And this can happen if you lack nutrients like B vitamins, especially activated B vitamins and magnesium, or if your gut flora isn't healthy. Now, on to something even more intriguing. Unique loose characteristic of estrogen receptors. We saw the receptors are locks and the hormones are keys, and they have specific key for specific locks. But when it comes to estrogen receptors, that's not true. Imagine you have a lock on your main door that can be opened by a key, a paper clip, or even a toothpick. That would be insecure. Your estrogen receptors are something similar. They are like those super friendly party hosts who can let anyone in. So, your estrogen receptors allow a wide variety of chemicals, xenoestrogens, to bind to them and cause estrogenic effect. To show you here, on the left hand side, I have a variety of synthetic xenoestrogens that can bind to estrogen receptors, and on the right hand side are three different estrogen molecules that we've seen earlier. You can see these chemicals are not even seemingly similar to estrogen molecules. So, a toothpick can open estrogen receptor. Generally speaking, the receptors are very specific and they will open with only molecules that fit well into the design, like a good quality lock and key. I heard one presenter calling this character of estrogen receptors promiscuous. And that wasn't a problem when estrogen receptors evolved millions of years ago. It's only in last 100 years it has become a major problem because we have created so many harmful xenoestrogens synthetic chemicals. These xenoestrogens sneak into our daily lives through ordinary stuff we use, and most of us are unaware of their existence. They are in our water, food, cleaning products, cosmetics, plastics, everything we use every day. Here are some very strong xenoestrogens that can cause more damage to our body. These high potency xenoestrogens are found in unsuspected places like IFPO's receipt. Who would know? I wasn't aware of them until I started preparing these lectures. Now I avoid them whenever possible and take precautions if I can't. Plastic bottles for drinks, oils, water, and food cans contain bisphenol A, and some bisphenol A free products may contain something called bisphenol S as a replacement, but manufacturers don't have to label their presence. So we can be happy that it is BPA free, but it might still contain BPS. These are some more xenoestrogen containing products that you may be unknowingly exposed to. Unfortunately, xenoestrogens have become so much part of our lives that researchers have found these chemicals in all these tissues, including amniotic fluid surrounding babies and their cord blood. Scary stuff, hey? Now let's see how these xenoestrogens get into our body. The first route is the digestive tract. From our food, can liners, plastics, pesticides. Certain foods are highly sprayed by pesticides, for example, grapes, strawberries, and of course, contaminated water. Absorption through our skin is big. The Environmental Working Group EWG survey found that on average, American women put 168 chemicals on their bodies every day. The group found that chemicals from the products used were ending up inside their bodies, causing problems. So, these exposures come from cosmetics, lotions, cleaning products, shampoos, body wash, and of course, the paper receipts, as we saw earlier. And then we are exposed to them through inhalation from perfumes, insecticides, pesticide spray, carpet and dry cleaning fumes, and fire retardant sprayed on clothes and toys. Now let's put it into more perspective by looking at how these xenoestrogens can affect our health, our reproductive and non reproductive organs. Xenoestrogens can wreak havoc on reproductive organs. They can cause the uterine lining to grow unchecked, leading to heavy, painful periods, especially during teen years and perimenopause years, when your estrogen production is already very high. It's been implicated to the early onset of menstruation, early menarche. They can also cause unchecked growth of the uterine wall, leading to fibroid development, and unchecked uterine lining growth can lead to polyp formation or even endometrial cancer. Chronic exposure can lead to hormone positive breast cancer, and they are implicated in endometriosis. Xenoestrogens are also known as endocrine disruptors because they interfere with hormonal communication, affecting the ovulation process, and this can lead to irregular periods, PMS, and infertility. It doesn't end there. It can lead to pregnancy complications. Exposure during pregnancy can increase the risk of miscarriages, preterm birth, and other pregnancy complications and hormonal imbalances in the baby. They also affect non reproductive organs. To name a few, they affect brain and mental health by affecting cognitive function, leading to memory and learning difficulties, and increased risk of mood disorders like anxiety and depression, especially in women with premenstrual dysphoric disorder because their hormone receptors are very sensitive. They affect heart health. They can affect cholesterol levels and blood vessel function, increasing the risk of high blood pressure, heart attack, and stroke. And of course, our skin, causing skin inflammation, dermatitis, rash, and acne. Now, let's talk about the plant based xenoestrogens, more popularly known as phytoestrogens. These phytoestrogens are found in legumes and whole grains, especially soy. There is a debate revolving around whether phytoestrogens are beneficial or harmful. Research says they exert a mild estrogenic effect which can be used therapeutically. During menopause, when the body ceases to produce estradiol, these plant based weak phytoestrogens can provide mild estrogenic effects, reducing symptoms caused by a lack of estrogen. This is more pro-estrogenic effect. When it comes to perimenopausal women, when their bodies are producing high amounts of estradiol, plant-based weak phytoestrogens can reduce the effect of this endogenous estrogen. They do it by occupying the estrogen receptors, making them unavailable to potent estrogens. This helps reduce overstimulation of cells and overall estrogenic effect. So they work like anti-estrogen in this situation. In summary, in this chapter we learned how histamine and estrogen can aggravate each other's receptors and the implications this can have on our symptoms and the management. We learned about unique character of estrogen's receptors, loose character, and their interaction with xenoestrogens, the harmful effects of synthetic xenoestrogens, and then we learned about the plant-based natural phytoestrogens and their therapeutic roles. Thank you for your attention. I know It can feel a bit unsettling to learn about all these chemicals that can wreak havoc on your hormones. But don't worry, in the next chapter, we are going to dive into ways we can reduce these harmful chemicals in our daily lives. With just a little more awareness, we can make changes that keep our bodies healthier and our hormones happier.